If it's your first time visiting Berlin and you're looking for the wall, then you are in luck because the wall can be found all over the city. There are literally hundreds of individual slabs scattered around the German capital. Sometimes you'll find them in their original location. More often than not, you'll find them in a hotel lobby, a museum, a courtyard, the garden of a nightclub. It just could be found everywhere because it was 155 kilometers long originally, and there was a lot to go around in the 1990s when it was being sold off. If, however, you want to see a more substantial piece, then you have really three opportunities in Berlin today. The East Side Gallery is by far the longest. It's by far the most popular of the three large sections. It's around 1.3 kilometers long. It can be found in the Friedrichshain district of the city, and it's the result of a project which began in the summer of 1990. This is during this weird kind of limbo period between the opening up of the checkpoints of the Berlin Wall on November the 9th, 1989, and German reunification in October 1990. A group of locally based artists came up with the plan to decorate the east facing side of the wall for the first time, effectively carrying on a tradition of painting on the wall which had begun over in West Berlin throughout the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. Artists were invited from all across the world to contribute. Now, when I first saw the East Side Gallery back in 2004, I thought it was a load of old shite, and that's mostly because the art is not dated very well. Now, over the years, my opinion has softened somewhat, and I think even if the quality of the art is not always on the cutting edge or the avant garde, it is very much like looking into a time capsule into Berlin and the mindset of people living here, visiting here during that very strange time between the fall of the wall and unification. Now, whilst the East Side Gallery is, let's say, the most Instagrammable remaining section of the wall, for real authenticity, you should go to the Berlin Wall Memorial and Documentation Centre up on Bernauer Strasse. It's basically a huge open air museum over 400 metres in length. You could start at any point. It's like a choose your own adventure museum. It's mostly outdoor. It features a very large unrestored section where you could still quite clearly see the damage caused by souvenir hunters or wall peckers back in the 1990s. But almost as importantly, it includes a reasonably well preserved, partly restored section of the so called death strip. When people see the Berlin Wall for the first time, they tend to be a little bit surprised, maybe slightly underwhelmed and disappointed, because it's not actually that high. It's only 11.5 feet, it's only a few inches thick. But one wall like that wouldn't be enough. What you needed was usually another wall built further back into East German territory and then a fortified zone between them. The Bernauer Strasse Berlin Wall Memorial and Documentation Centre has a fairly accurate depiction of just that. And the last of these three sections that I would recommend visiting can be found rather confusingly running right through the former Nazi government quarter. Most of the Nazi government buildings could have been found on Wilhelmstrasse, right in the centre of the city. Now, of course, for obvious reasons, most of these buildings were either destroyed during or slightly after World War II, but the largest surviving building is still a ministry today. The Ministry of Finance was previously the Ministry of Air Aviation, used by Hermann Goering in the 1930s and 40s. Just south of that used to be found a ensemble of buildings used by different branches of the Nazi police state. So the SS, the SD, the Gestapo, and a bunch of offices to the south of Wilhelmstrasse. These buildings were completely levelled after World War II, and in 1961, it just so happened that the Berlin Wall was built right alongside these ruins. Now, in the 1980s, these ruins were excavated. They began to use the site as a great museum called the Topography of Terror. This museum has been expanded over the years. For my money, probably the best museum focusing on the Nazi era in the entire country. And there is a connection to all of this and the wall still standing. Because in 1990, when the wall was being sold off piece by piece to museums and hotels and collectors, it was the people behind that historical site who suggested leaving the wall there. They felt that future generations should be able to come to one location in Berlin and see the remnants of both dictatorships side by side.